I want to thank most of all our student panelists. We're going to talk about recommendations. Yes, we got to get in it. We got to start changing some of these conditions that we studied, that we heard about from our students. But I want to thank Julie Basicki. I want to thank Martine. I want to thank Kimberly. I want to thank Justin. I want to thank Megan. We are honored by your presence, by your participation, by adding your intellect and your energy to this project. Thank you guys so much. And hey, our educators ain't bad either. By the way, if you want to talk to some folks, those of you who may be writing about education or in policy positions and you want to see truly where there is hope, please talk to Dr. Santelises, talk to Marvin, talk to Joshua. If you get a chance to see the inside of Joshua's classroom, you will see what it looks like when kids are getting the resources they need to succeed. So please, I know their inboxes are already pretty full, but please hit them up. You will come away extraordinarily hopeful. All right, so what specifically do we do about all this? Concretely, practically, what do we do about all this? We don't have the easy one, two, three-step how-to manual that we're going to change all of these deeply rooted systemic inequities that exist, but we do have some practical, I think, operational places to start. None of these, as Dr. Santelises said, none of these require billions of dollars. Most of them just require us reallocating time and focus. None of them require years of specialized preparation. We can begin to move the needle against the opportunity myth right now, today, for those kids who are sitting in classrooms all across the country right now. So, first, let's ask students and families directly about their goals, about their school experiences. Listen to what they share and then act on what they tell you. That can be as simple as making time for teachers and school leaders to spend time with families and with students at the beginning of the year to ask them about their goals. By the way, in our study, we found that teachers who frequently ask students about their interests and their aspirations saw much higher levels of engagement. And again, that engagement leads to student learning. Number two, make greater access to grade-appropriate assignments an urgent priority for all students, no matter their race, their background, their income level, their current performance level. Remember the classrooms where they got even somewhat more access to grade-level assignments, we saw much higher student learning. We saw gaps closing quickly. This can be done, it is being done in places like Baltimore City Schools. Three, let's give all students, especially those who are behind or perceived to be behind, access to instruction that asks them to think and engage deeply with challenging material. Let's start to shift the focus. We're all, including a TNTP, we're all spending a lot of time investing a lot of funding in training, supporting our educators, and preparing our new teachers and our new leaders. Let's shift the focus of that training and that prep to support educators, to help them build skills, to allow students more of an opportunity to think, to grapple, to grow with the most challenging material. Four, let's ensure educators enact high expectations for student success by seeing firsthand that students are capable of succeeding with more rigorous material. We're doing work in places like New Orleans, in places like Florida, where we see if we give teachers and leaders the opportunity to practice teaching grade-appropriate material with teachers who are behind or they perceive to be behind, they come out of that experience with much higher expectations for all students. And finally, let's conduct an equity audit everywhere to identify school and district level decisions from the diversity of staff at all levels, something that we heard about from Basicki, Dr. Santelises, at all levels, to which students are enrolled in honors courses. That is on the cutting room floor, but we had plenty of data that showed there were inequities in terms of access to courses. And those decisions, those choices we make, give some students greater access than others to key resources. One thing that we can do, a great organization, for those of you who don't know, Education Trust, whose work we built on with this report, did a study. They found 115,000 students of color in New York State who are not going to get the opportunity to see even one teacher who comes from their race and ethnic background. That's a problem. We can begin to move the needle on that right away. So, as we close out our time together this morning, I'd like to leave you all with a call to action. If you want to take action right now, you can go to opportunitymyth.tntp.org, opportunitymyth.tntp.org, and get a personalized action guide. We have, folks, tools. We have practical tools. If you are a teacher, if you are a school leader, if you are a system leader, if you're a parent, if you're a student, and you want to begin to tear down the opportunity myth, we have practical tools. All the tools, in fact, that we use in this study are available to anybody, open source. So get a personalized action guide, make a commitment. If you're here with us today in DC, you can spend some time visiting with our student panelists. They've agreed to hang around until noon. Please spend some time talking to them, listening to them, asking them questions, and then make your own commitment today on social media. Two more things. If you work inside the system, if you're a leader, if you're an administrator, if you're an educator, ask yourself a question. I spent 6 years working in the New York City public schools. I can tell you I would not have been able to answer this question at any point. Do you know which of your students are getting access to these critical resources? Which of your students are consistently given teachers and adults with high expectations? Which of your students are getting access to grade level assignments and which are not? And how often? If you can't answer that question, and again, I could not when I worked inside of a district, then take a look at our tools, use our tools, create your own opportunity scorecard to figure out in your community, in your system, in your school, in your network, what kind of experiences are students actually having? How can you lift up their voices and give them a seat at the table? How much opportunity are you giving some students versus other students? This can be done. It's not rocket science, folks. It doesn't cost a lot of money. If you're outside the system, if you're a student, if you're a parent, if you're an advocacy group, if you're a nonprofit, ask the same question of the system leaders in your community. Ask them, do they know? Do you know whether my child is getting a real opportunity to succeed? Do you know whether all children in our community are getting an opportunity to succeed? Ask it respectfully. Ask it in a supportive way. But if you don't get an answer, if the person you're talking to at the school board meeting or what have you can't answer that question, then suggest, recommend, advocate, mobilize. Make sure that next year that system is able to answer that question to you and all the other members of that community. So, I want to thank you very much for being here. I want to thank, again, our student panelists, our educators, Luis, our terrific moderator. And I want to thank all of my colleagues who worked so very hard, did tremendously creative, difficult, hard work to bring you the stories and the voices of students from across the country and to create a platform for us to hear from those students from here on out. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.